The .30-06 caliber round fired from a Mauser 98 bolt-action rifle ripped through the September air like a crack in the nation's soul, silencing chants mid-syllable and freezing hands mid-clap. One moment, Charlie Kirk was smiling at the crowd, his voice rising over the sea of red, white, and blue. Then next, the stage became a battlefield of disbelief. Sirens wailed, people screamed, others dropped to their knees, not in fear, but in prayer. Urgent, unpolished, desperate. Phones lit up like fireflies in the dusk, even though it was broad daylight, broadcasting the unthinkable to a watching world. Somewhere in that chaos, a whisper began to spread. Not from the stage, not from the microphones, but from the hearts of those who believed America's story was not over. The crowd didn't scatter. Not at first. It was as if time itself had been stunned into stillness, flags frozen mid-wave, hands suspended in the air, eyes wide and unblinking. Somewhere near the front, a woman clutched her Bible with a vice grip. A young man in a faded ball cap dropped to his knees, his lips moving soundlessly, tears streaking down his face. Then the sound returned, not in a rush, but in jagged bursts, a scream from the left, the metallic clatter of a microphone hitting the stage, the sharp bark of security commands cutting through the confusion. Phones were everywhere now, their cold blue light casting ghostly halos on faces. The news was already out. Charlie Kirk, shot. The word spread faster than the sirens could arrive, and yet, in the middle of the chaos, something unexpected began to happen. A voice, trembling but clear, started singing Amazing Grace. At first it was just one, then another joined, then another, until the melody swelled over the sobs and shouts. People linked arms, strangers held each other. The song rose like a defiant banner against the darkness. Somewhere in the crowd, a pastor whispered to the man beside him, "This is not the end. This is the beginning." It often comes unexpected. Triggered by an event or series of events, it evokes change. Historically, the pattern is clear. People wrestle with truth only when they have to, when circumstances align in such a way that only an intervention from Almighty God will suffice. Revival is not a program nor a product of human ambition. It is a divine disruption. It breaks through the crust of complacency, shatters the illusion of control, and exposes the soul's deepest need. It does not ask permission. It does not wait for consensus. It arrives like fire, sometimes gentle as a flicker, sometimes fierce as a consuming blaze. In every generation, there comes a moment when the weight of sin, silence, and spiritual slumber becomes unbearable. The ground trembles, the heavens stir, and somewhere, often in obscurity, a cry rises, not polished, not rehearsed, just raw desperation. God, we need you. That cry is the spark. Revival rarely begins in the spotlight. It begins in the margins, in prayer closets, in broken homes, in weary hearts. It begins when truth is no longer negotiable, when holiness is no longer optional, and when the presence of God becomes the only pursuit worth chasing. In these pages, I document revivals that have gone before, real instances in the historical record of this phenomenon we call awakening. I do this so we will never forget that we are players on a large stage of history, His story. Revival has erupted in places where few expected it and many desperately needed it. These are not myths or exaggerations. They are moments when heaven touched earth, when ordinary people were gripped by extraordinary conviction, and when the presence of God reordered communities, nations, and destinies. This book is not a manual. It is a witness, a call, a challenge. It is for those who sense the stirring, who feel the ache, who refuse to settle for sanitized religion and long instead for sacred fire. If you've ever whispered, "There must be more," this is for you. Because when revival happens, it doesn't just change the church, it changes everything.